Hello everyone and welcome to another expert session. And today with me I have Abhinandan Jain, a C-suite executive from StarTek, a chief growth officer at StarTek, and I love to get his perspective on the recent updates of Spark Metrics and contact center outsourcing services market. So, welcome Abhinandan to another expert session powered by QKS Group. And I really wanted to have this talk with you upon StarTech's perspectives on the recent changes that is happening in the market. So, how do you feel that how this contact center outsourcing market is evolving into the current era of 2025, and how do you think StarTech is keeping up the space and making a lot of efforts into this competitive landscape?
No, first of all, Aman, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for hosting me and giving me the opportunity to talk through this. It's always a pleasure talking to you and then tapping into your vast intelligence, and perspective on the industry. So coming to the question, and I think it's at the right time because this year we have, of course, seen a lot of, I would say, both revolution and evolution, in this space. So customer care outsourcing service is probably experiencing its most profound transformation since the advent of cloud computing. We are at an inflection point with probably three fundamental shifts that are converging simultaneously. Okay, they are creating unprecedented, opportunities and also existential challenges for the traditional BPOs. So let me first start with the numbers, to illustrate, what I'm going to talk about. See, the global digital transformation spending is projected to reach about 3.9 trillion by 2027. Various data, right? So a compound annual growth rate is about 23 to 24%, right? But what is fascinating is 87% of digital transformation attempts fail. Okay. Now that number can vary, depending on who you talk to, but it is above 80%. Okay. Which means the winners in this space will create massive competitive moats. Okay. So what are the three fundamental evolutionary forces? First is shift from labor arbitrage to intelligence arbitrage. Okay. So the traditional BPO model is, built on cost per FTE is becoming obsolete. Okay. We have a lot of words being thrown around in the industry, whether it's services, software, outcome-based pricing. But the intent is, how do I combine AI plus automation to generate outcomes that are guaranteed and I bundle them as a service. Okay. At StarTech, this is something, which we are very consciously moving our models to. Okay. Over the last, I would say 12 months, we have seen, more and more customers willing to engage in pilots, where we move them slowly from an FTE based pricing to a more transaction or an outcome based pricing. Okay. What that does is, it gives them enough leverage, to both, leverage AI and humans together. And I'll give you an example for one of the customers that actually saved them about 17% of their total cost of outsourcing. Okay. By moving to this model. And at the same time, basically innovate, and be where the customers are. So that's point. Second is the emergence of agentic AI, right? As a business differentiator. And I can tell you, this is not another technology trend. It is fundamentally reimagining on how work gets done, right? If you read Gartner's projection recently, 80% of common service issues will be autonomously resolved, using agentic AI. Now, to do that, what we have done is we have started, again, I think one thing which everyone has to understand is agentic AI is still in its nascent phases, of its growth, yet very promising. So we have done pilots. And when I say pilot, it is not an intellectual exercise. It is actually at a customer using a line of business, where we have been able to handle end-to-end workflows, right? From password resets, to billing adjustments, thus, resulting in almost 25% faster resolution time. Okay. Resulting in actually a 12-point CSAT improvement. Okay. The third is, which is very interesting is, especially in the recent, some of the acquisitions which have been, announced in the industry, is the convergence of the CX technology stacks. Okay. So, basically the customer experience platform is evolving into an integrated suite, which combines analytics, which combine AI, which combines the data, so that you're not just delivering operational excellence, but actually innovation and insights. Okay. So on that, from a StarTek perspective, we have partnered with a lot of, both the startup ecosystem, okay, across the globe, okay, because there's this amazing work which is happening in India, which is happening in Israel, which is happening in Eastern Europe, in the US. And how do you bring the best of the breed in a Lego based model to the customers? Of course, with now with the whole MCP protocols, with APIs, it's all becoming more and more seamless. And that's how we're planning to go to the market with, and that's what we bring those platforms. Like, for example, if I have to get in my deep operational insights, getting then mapped into my performance management and quality management systems, and hence, how do I modulate my hiring profiles, and my training, is this something, which we are right now building an end-to-end thing, using various components. But the critical success factors also, we also understand StarTek is, it has to be a security first innovation. Okay, which is important. So, we have won multiple cybersecurity awards. The Fortress Cybersecurity Award. Our CISO, has been nominated. But that is key. Especially in the agentic AI. You don't want, to compromise, any of your internal workflows or data. Okay. Then how do you do a global and a local orchestration? Okay. With a global mindset, but going local. Okay. Now, with things like voice AI, uh, you know, voice modulation, or accent neutralization. Okay. With things like real-time language translation, all of that becomes a lot more easier. How do you bring that in, right? And then, of course, the outcome-based commercial models, which we talked about. So, net, if I was to sum it up, the businesses, 89% of the businesses are competing on customer experience. Okay. They have to surpass their traditional factors like product and price, which is creating a massive opportunity, for outsourcers to now leverage, what the technology can do, along with the human empathy to maintain trust, okay, and then deliver that experience.
Uh, I- Avi, I think that's so many of points curated together. If I try to you talked about the digital transformation, and many of these digital transformations are failing because of some X factors, not right things. The second point you also that you highlighted about the unification of the CX stack. Because the need and the change in the market, consolidated analytics, interactions at one place. You also talked about security. So I think StarTek, focusing has this wide, focusing on this varied areas, understands this shift. It's not only a shift from voice to digital channels. It's a core shift that is happening towards a larger ecosystem of CX. Going that, I wanted to understand. We have moved from a traditional contact center ecosystem, like outsourcing only for voice, or having earlier CX used to be measured in uptime, how fast your resolutions are getting solved, how well your agents are trained. But currently, if you see in the digital experience, customer digital experience that we're talking about, it's more about digital channels. It's about consolidating. It's about more omni-channel experiences. It's also, you just talked about AI. These things are actually impacting. So in this era where CX is defined not only through voice and uptime scalability, it's more upon digital. How StarTek sees this shift, and is doing a lot of stuffs in these areas that promotes the customer digital experience is seamless in the coming time from now.
No, I think a fair question. So, and let me try to answer that, right? Uh, if you look at, see, we've been talking about omni-channel, for a while. Okay. If you look at some of the latest research, from Gartner and others, right? 51%, and in fact, I think you had talked about it, in one of your recent forums. See, today your customer journeys are starting on third-party platforms. Okay. Your customer journeys are starting on a Google, or they might start on a YouTube. Today they are starting on ChatGPT. Okay. Perplexity, or, now the browser, the new browser which Perplexity has, right? So the brands have to meet the customers where AI powered experiences wherever they are, not just on their own channels. Okay. But what is the paradox? 74% of the customers, still want a seamless online experience, that mirrors, in plus. But only 8% of the customers believe that they are getting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Versus 80% of the companies thinking they are delivering it. So there's a huge gap. So why where is the fallout, right? So see, one tends to wonder, okay, there's so much spend happening. We just talked about the trillion-dollar industry. We talked about everyone knows about customer expectations. So one is the pace of the technology change which has happened. Okay. But AI has a multi-dimensional impact, which we all have to understand, right? First is it means operational transformation at scale. Okay. What does that mean? Right. For example, what at StarTek we did is, so our Gen AI platform, okay, which we rolled out, for either a training or a quality, performance management. Okay. That has to be rolled out seamless across all operational touch points. Okay. And again, it's a massive task. Okay, so have we completed it? No, because we are slowly finding out the technology limitations, the guardrails and everything. But the initial impact we have seen is like 20% improvement in FCRs. Okay, 15% reduction in AHT. For one of our telcos, and then of course operational savings. Right. So that is your foundational layer, and in my mind, that foundational layer is where things are missing out. Okay, because yes, today I can create all the wrappers, I can meet the customer where I want to meet, but until I fix my foundational layer, it does. Second is the way we think. Okay, both the brands, and their partners. Okay, you have to move from a reactive to a proactive service model. Okay, because that is what customers want. So what does that mean? It means a predictive relationship management. Okay, what that translates to is basically your conversational empathy at scale is, how I call it. Okay, which is where you're not analyzing what the customer is saying. You have to analyze how they are saying it, in what context they are saying it, what has been their interaction history. Okay, and then you use your LLM models, to drive the next best action. Okay, today that does not really happen. Your next best action today is driven by that conversation only. Okay, and then it is a complex problem to solve for. Okay, honestly, because of data. Okay, how seamless does data flow between your CRM versus the interaction, and then one of the things, and as outsourcers, how much data do you have access to? Okay, so what we have done is, so we have implemented, we developed something of our own called StarTek Pulse. Okay, where you can think of it as you have a heart rate monitor or a pulse monitor, where every interaction is being monitored for some critical metrics, okay, in real time, without my need to integrate it with any backend systems. Okay, because, and then the pulse, as that, and then you spin off agents to do things, or you can say, okay, this agent was probably not that empathetic on the call. So you automatically, have a training assignment agent, who assigns a set of trainings or notify. So that's very important, because otherwise you cannot reach a predictive relationship management. Okay. Third is, of course, the economic model revolution. Okay. I'll keep on coming back to that. Okay. Because innovation partnership requires model rethinking. Okay. Because if the model still only incentivizes people to solve for problems, you'll always have a reactive model. Okay, but your customers are thinking, predictive. They're thinking proactive. Okay, and that is what will drive you to the personalization template. For those customers. In AI, I would say the other thing, which I would also highlight is the entire trust and transparency. See, and if the customers, and it's and I again, I think it was one of the key QKS reports, which I was reading to. See, 85% of the customers will be okay to use GenAI if they know they are talking to a bot.
Mhm.
Okay, if you're transparent enough. And if they know how my data will be used. Okay. So you have to build that trust. It's always a journey. Okay. And to build that trust, of course, there's the infrastructure reality and in everything. But yes, what I would say, see, we are moving towards where you have digital intelligence, okay, which is augmenting the human connection. Okay. And then that is how we are building at StarTek, in the entire thing, where you provide insights to the human to drive that proactive thing. Hope that answers your question. I know it was a long drawn answer, but yeah.
I think you covered various points. You started from actually how actually the shift has been happening towards more digital and omnichannel when you just started, and then the way you went to AI, you connected with security. You also connected with the interpretation that customers might have of these changes. So it actually gives me a broader sense. I really loved when you talked about how StarTech thinks upon with AI. It's not just an additional add-on layer. With that, you will be only reaching at some certain nascent stages of, you have to rethink from core foundations, right? The way you mentioned about, StarTech, that you developed a pulse, AI thing that actually gives interaction, tracks every interactions. That's what is needed perspective. I've been talking to a lot of vendors and end users. I think when you talk about agentic AI, there's a lot of hype. Like I just wanted to give this thing. There's a lot of hype, but the hype cuts through when you understand the real outcome-based value. You also talked about the pricing the price. I'm just trying to link the way
Yeah, correct.
the way Tata is
Absolutely.
thinking from the pricing point of view. When you think for the outcome, you include AI into deeper ecosystems, because I think if you include AI in just for agent assist and it's not connected with the right CRM and knowledge bases, it's just an additional feature. So when you are trying to include AI, you need to include it into the foundational layer so it's connected across the system, and then it will give you the real value. So you need to be more orchestrated for that. And I think looking at StarTech, you have got the right pulse with your pulse. So I think this is gonna give a better overview to the users that are actually looking for going to fully in with the agentic AI and AI led CX driven thinking. Moving forward, you also mentioned some points upon Abhinandan about helping your agents, having the right summarization feature, having the right tools. My I just wanted, don't I don't want this to be long. I wanted to give you I want you to throw some light upon employee experience in this entire scenario from StarTek's points of view. We see that StarTek is actually working a lot of connected CX stuff, but how are you connecting your employee experience towards a better CX? Because we think that the more your agents are powerful with upskilling, the more tools and the best features they have, the better CX outcome is achieved. So how StarTek's is focusing on EX to get the better CX? If you can throw some light on that.
And Aman, that. See, that is, the thing, which is closest to my heart, because I fundamentally believe that unless you fix the EX, your CX will not change. Okay. And then that is the journey, which we started on, almost 3.5 years back with the whole StarTek agent AI. Okay. We said, okay, let's map our associates, pre-hire, not even hire, because pre-hire experience is very important. Okay. Your pre-hire to retire, and see how can I then use AI to enhance their experience at every stage. Be it hiring, be it training, be it giving them real-time coaching, also support systems, when they want to inquire about their own salaries, or need mental health support. All of that is important. So first, I do want to debunk the narrative that AI will simply replace contact center jobs. No. Okay. Will it rationalize and help people move into more value added roles? Is where, how we think about it. Okay. And for that, the scale of workforce transformation that is needed, okay, not only in StarTek, but across the industry is huge. Okay. And for that, we have, now, the training, it is very important to train them, on the latest, AI things. It is very important for you to be transparent as to how, you're going to use AI and how it's going to help them. And it is very important to drive a proper change management. Okay. And that is, what we are seeing as successful in building that whole human AI connection, going forward.
Okay. So, Abhi, I think that was some great points. So, if I try to close this on a good note, I understand that StarTek's team is well equipped with the evolution. They are on point. The agility that you guys are showing with AI innovation, employee experience, and connecting all the dots into one ecosystem gives an upper edge and a unique core differentiator to stand out in the market. Because whenever users are thinking for getting or trusting a vendor, it's all depend upon various aspects we just discussed about it. It depends upon how you think for the core CX, how you are connected well with EX, how you put things together so that you go for a better outcome driven, results oriented thing. So I think StarTek is well positioned to stand out in the market, and kudos to the team how you guys are making difference in the market. And I love to be in touch with the team and see how you innovate more. And more importantly, the best thing I love about StarTek is execution. So from so many years, I've been looking and tracking StarTek, and I've loved your execution over the years, how you guys have built, and you partner, you go to the market. So yeah, looking forward to more such updates and to another expert session with you guys.
No, absolutely, Aman. It was a pleasure. Like at StarTek, we won't like to call it, right? We are not adapting to the future. We are architecting it, with our customers. So happy to have more conversations with you and then dive deeper. But thanks for this opportunity. Loved our
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you so much, guys, and stay tuned for another session, and I'll be back.